Most people prepare for phalloplasty like a weekend trip. They panic, they buy everything for stage 1, and arrive totally unprepared for stages 2 and 3. Buying things feels like doing things, but overpacking for the first week creates logistic fog that makes actual healing harder. Today we're clearing that fog with a tactical system for the entire journey. So before I go over all the supplies, I have actually made an itemized supply checklist with all the supplies we're going to go over today, so you don't have to write everything down. So the link to the checklist is actually in the description box below. Alright, so first we're going to go through stage 1 supplies. So this is the basic wound care supplies, and most of this stuff will actually be given to you from the hospital and from your clinic, so your surgeon's office. Some offices only allow a 5-day supply to give you, so I would recommend having some of this stuff already on hand. So the first thing is bacitracin. So these are just the kind of little ones that the clinic gave me. And then next is the Zero Form. So you'll be using this on your arm for stage 1. And then some Curelux gauze. So they'll give you like a bigger one. This is just like a smaller one that I have. And this is also for to wrap your arm. And then you will wrap your arm with some Ace Wrap. And then it's helpful to have some medical tape as well to tape things. And then after the wounds are pretty much healed, you'll be told to put Aquaphor on them. And then when your caregiver is helping you with all your wound care, make sure that they put gloves on. You, as your own body, you don't need to put gloves on. Just make sure you have hand sanitizer to sanitize your hands or wash your hands. Also, this is the larger wrap that you can use for your thigh. So sometimes what they'll do is after the foam comes off from your thigh, they'll have you actually dress it the same way that you dress your arm, just because it gets really messy. All right, so next is the incision care. So these are like the closed wounds just with the stitches. So you'll most likely put Silversorb gel, and they will give you this. And then it's recommended to have a handheld mirror to look at your incisions, because it can be hard to kind of look, and so they want you to make sure that you're monitoring them every day. And then a small fan, or even you can use your blow dryer on a cool setting. And so this is to keep the area dry, because in the genital area it tends to get kind of moist, and so this just helps dry everything out, especially after you shower. All right, next is propping. So you're gonna want mesh underwear. You will be living in these for weeks, and you will take the Curelux gauze and make a phallus cloud. And so it's like kind of like a bunched up gauze, and you'll stick this in this underwear and cut a hole, and that will be your propping. I will actually do a video specifically on how to cut the underwear and how to prop. My surgeon actually was starting to use like a little foam propping thing, so depending on your surgeon, you'll either have the cloud or a foam. So next is hygiene. So you're gonna want body wipes, because you're not gonna be able to shower for at least 6 to 7 days. And I also would, so like dude wipes is pretty much what I use. I also would suggest dry shampoo. And then another thing that they'll have you get is the flushable wipes. So this is for after you use the bathroom. They want to make sure that you're super clean. So this cleans a lot better than just dry toilet paper. And then next, what you're gonna want is some unscented soap. So this is good for your incisions. So you will be able to wash your incisions with soap and water. And so you want to make sure that you have a gentle soap for that. I would recommend getting some dog pee pads. So this is good to kind of go underneath you so you don't ruin your sheets, because you will have like oozing stuff, especially from your leg. Next that they suggest is a body hair trimmer. Just kind of keeps things more clean and neat. Next, I would suggest getting a large cast cover for your arm, because for at least a couple weeks you're gonna have your arm be covered when you shower. And so your clinical team will let you know when you can actually get this wet and shower and wash it with soap and water. But until then, you've got to have this on that. And also, too, you're gonna want to keep while the gray foam is on your thigh, you're gonna want to keep that dry as well. So what I found is a garbage bag over that worked well with tape. All right, so next is comfort. So I would recommend one of these large wedge pillows, because for the first 4 weeks, you're not gonna be allowed to sit at 90 degrees. This kind of allows you to recline back in bed. Next, what I would suggest is a bedside table. So you can set this up with all your things. Next is a reacher grabber tool. So mine actually broke, but it's kind of one of those that had like the trigger and it kind of moves and you can grab things. And then a back scratcher is helpful as well because you won't be able to like reach and bend and stuff. So this is a lifesaver. Next is a long charging cable for your phone. So this is like critical because you're gonna want to use your phone in bed, use your phone at the hospital, and you just don't know where the nearest outlet is. So this is a lifesaver. I think this is like a 6-foot cord, something like that. Next is breathable clothing. So some shorts, joggers, big shirts, stuff like that, big sweatshirts. Next is over-the-counter meds. Most clinics have you take Tylenol, some ibuprofen. Next for the over-counter meds, we have stool softeners. So you're likely will go home with stool softeners from the hospital, so like Colace or Senna, but you can have your own Miralax. Sometimes we need like some extra stuff. And then also Gas X. So I had a lot of trouble after stage 1 with gas. I actually took this in the hospital. I had to actually ask for this specifically in the hospital, and then I ended up having some to have at home as well. Another thing that's a lifesaver is anti-itch lotion. So this one actually was given to me in the hospital because I was itchy, and so you can either use lotion for specific areas or you can use Benadryl. So last is scar care. So you're gonna want to get some silicone scar sheets. So they look like this. I actually have some on my arm right now. So they are all stuck on my arm. Kind of looks like paper mache. And then you'll want to get a UV sleeve. So this helps protect from the sun. And I've seen great progress with both the silicone scar sheets and the bio oil. So what I do is I put the silicone on during the day, leave it on all day, and then at night I'll take that all off, and then I'll take bio oil and I actually will mix this with like lotion, or I have actually been mixing it with the Aquaphora, and I will massage that in for 3 to 5 minutes, just kind of massage it all in and let it soak in the night, and then in the morning I'll reapply this after it's washed. All right, so most of these supplies that I showed you will be reused for stage 2, but you will have, so for your glands, you will have smaller gauze for that to wrap around, and smaller Xeroform as well. And these are the foot flow valves for the catheter. So I would suggest, if your team allows, to switch to this. So it's a little valve that connects to your catheter tubing. You take the catheter bag off, and this is what you use, and you flip it to go and then close it. And so this is a lifesaver. I will go more into detail about all the catheter stuff with stage 2. Then also you're going to need a fleet enema. And so this is usually used the night before stage 2. They want you to get cleared out. Or if you are having vaginectomy with stage 1, they'll have you do that with stage 1. It just depends on when you get the vaginectomy. And they also will have you take Miralax to kind of get everything out as well. So it's that's called bowel prep. Then a helpful item too with the catheters for your SP catheter is a little drain sponge. So this goes around it and it helps with all the leaks. You can also just, if you don't have this, you can just use a gauze square and just kind of cut a slit in a hole. And that's what I did if I ran out of these. And next, which was a lifesaver for me for stage 2, was a donut pillow. So this is critical after you've had a vaginectomy, because when you sit, it's gonna be very uncomfortable. And to be honest, I couldn't sit for a while. And even with this, it was a while. So I pretty much just set kind of reclined, so I wasn't like sitting directly on the site. But then I was able to use the donut pillow, and the idea is it just takes the pressure off. So I would highly recommend one of these. So next is stage 3. So stage 3, there's not many, so depending on what your stage 3 is, there's not many supplies needed. Some you'll reuse from stage 1. And there's no like special items for stage 3. Stage 3 for me will be the erection device and the testicular implants. So pretty much just need stuff for propping, and then like Silverzorb for the incisions. So it's pretty kind of straightforward. So if you actually want the full Phalloplasty recovery system, the protocols, the community, and the step-by-step guidance, join the wait list for the deep water, the Phalloplasty recovery system. We launch this fall and the link is below. Stay steady and I'll see you in the next one.